I was born in Arkansas, a little place called Crawfordsville, Arkansas. I can't tell you exactly what corner of the state it's in because I haven't been there since I was born. We left. My mom left there. She only went there to have me. She went to my grandmother's house, and my grandmother helped bring me into the world. So
Wow.
that's where I was born, and then we lived in a town called uh, uh, Wynn, Arkansas, and we lived there till I was about 4 years old, I guess. And then we moved to another town in Arkansas called Blytheville. And I guess we lived there 3 or 4 years. And then we moved to South Bend, Indiana. And that's where I grew up. And I grew up, and after graduating from high school, I went into the Navy. And when I came out from the Navy, we moved to Summit, Illinois, which is a little town right next to Chicago. And that's where I met my wife, Marguerite, and we got married about 2 years after I met her, and had 4 kids. Worked at the post office for 31 years, and while I was in the Navy, I was trained to be an electrician, and between the post office and doing electrical work, I did that for about 40 years, and then I retired.
Hey.
Well, I didn't know I was very cool. My secret is just go with the flow. Whatever's going on, you go with it if you agree with what's happening. If not, you go somewhere else. Well, when I was growing up, by my initials, which is BB, and I was called BB until I got to be about 5 or 6 years old, and then they started calling me Bennie, and then when I got to high school, they started to call me Wick, WICK. That's short for Wilkins, and they called me Wick. That's what I was all the way through high school. Everybody called me Wick. Well, I didn't really know. It happens kind of when I came out of service, when I came out of the Navy, I lived with my mom and my sister, and Marguerite's sister lived next door to where I was living.
Hey, Estelle.
Yes.
Okay.
And I met her, and we got to be friends, and it went from there. And 2 years after I met her, we got married and had 4 kids.
2 years, lady, so don't let him string you along, you know what I'm saying?
About 2 years. Actually, when I came out of the service, I was 24 when I came out of service, and Marguerite was in a senior year in high school, and she was like 18, I guess. So she was a little younger than I was. So, but we got together, I guess, and so I'm 5 years older than she is. But we got together, and we've been together for 63 years, I think, now.
Wow. That's a blessing.
Yes. You gotta gotta give and take, you know. Because you don't always agree, but you're supposed to be able to get together. You have to.
You gotta make it work.
Yeah, to make it work, you gotta give, and you gotta take. You got to be able to get it together. Otherwise, it'll never work.
Okay, I got 2 questions.
Okay.
Where did you take Grandma out for dates, and do you believe in going Dutch?
I took her out to restaurants and movies, and we went to the museums and on boat rides on the lake, and we never went Dutch. I always had to pay. I don't think she ever paid for any of our outings.
You hear that, ladies?
Well, I was working, and like I say, she was, when we first met, she was in the last year of high school, and she didn't have any money. She wasn't working or anything, so I ended up paying for everything. And it would be nice to go Dutch every once in a while if she had been working and had a city job or something, but she didn't, so we didn't. There was no Dutch.
So it's nice every once in a while for a guy to get treated.
Right,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, if it lets the guy know that if she still would want to go out with him, even if she had to pay once in a while.
Once in a while.
Sometimes the guy's not working and the girl is working, and so she might end up paying more than normal. But if they're both working, I would, if it was me, I would pay the bill most of the time.
Okay, what was it like growing up in the Jim Crow era?
I didn't run into Jim Crow problems. Hardly. I think I can remember one incident of all the time that I was, from the time I was in junior high school through high school. And it wasn't a big deal. It just that one kid, how me and one of my friends was walking by, and he was sitting on his porch, I guess, and he hollered and asked, "What are you so and so doing over here?" You know, as if I was in an area that I wasn't supposed to be in, and we didn't really stop to argue or to keep the thing going. We just kept walking, and it didn't continue. It stopped when we walked. But after we walked past his house, he didn't keep hollering at us, and we just kept walking. So that was about the only really incident that happened while I was growing up, and I was supposed to have been in an area where it was a lot of Jim Crowish things happening, but it didn't happen to me. And when I got a little older and was in sports, and I got to be pretty good in sports, I guess, popular enough that nobody didn't bother me, so I never had any problems. I actually was voted vice president in my senior year of the senior class, and the president, the fellow that was voted president, his family moved out of town, so I ended up being the president, taking his place. So I was voted vice, but I ended up being the president. And we had like class reunions, a luncheon, but this year was the first year we didn't have one since 1951.
Wow.
Because of this
thing
that's going around.
Yeah.
But we'll probably have it next year if they can clear it up. Oh, no, not really. I don't really have anything to say except that treat everybody like you want to be treated, and most of the time you'll end up in good shape. If you go around giving people a hard time, then you're gonna get a hard time. So you treat people like you want to be treated, and you'll end up in a long history of good times.